So today we're going to take a look at hydration and why it is so important to help maintain a heart rate in a certain zone when doing low heart rate training. How's it going, everybody? My name is Justin Thompson. I'm your average running PT, and I help the average runner achieve their own personal elite status. If that's something that you guys are into, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you know when the next video comes out. So it's summer in Florida, and that means two things. Number one, there's a hurricane barreling right down our throats at this very moment. And number two, it's hot and humid outside, and that means we got to drink more water. So since there's not a whole lot that I can do about that hurricane that's coming our way, I can tell you guys how you can help with your hydration during these hot summer months. But first of all, why is this so important for helping maintain your heart rate in a certain zone? Now, the truth is, being able to maintain your heart rate in a certain zone while doing a certain effort level of activity is more about how efficient that heart is pumping. If the heart is pumping blood that is thicker, it's going to have to work significantly harder to deliver that blood to the working muscles. Now, if we can thin that blood out a little bit, then it suddenly is able to flow a lot easier and the heart doesn't have to work so hard to pump that blood to the working muscles. So what's in question right now is all about blood volume. We want to increase our blood volume so that we can thin out the blood enough so that it flows freely, flows easily, and is able to deliver that oxygen to the working muscles so that we can continue to go without getting tired. And so that we can do so efficiently so that the heart doesn't have to work in overdrive in order to accomplish that. Now, I use a couple different methods to make sure that my blood volume stays high enough in order to ensure that my heart rate is able to stay somewhat under control. Now, keep in mind, when you're putting out this effort and you're running in the hot summer months, you're going to lose a lot of fluids, okay? So you may or may not be able to keep up 100%. However, these two methods here are the best way that I've come up with for myself to be able to maintain blood volume at a certain level so that my heart isn't having to work in overdrive. Method number one, hyperhydrate before your run. Now for myself, I'm very lucky because I can drink about 24 ounces of water right before I go to bed at night and not have to get up to go to the bathroom. I realize that that is not necessarily possible for most people, so I don't expect you guys to do that. However, also what I do first thing in the morning is that I make sure and drink between 20 and 24 ounces of water before I go out for my morning run. Now, this is really important to actually hyperhydrate your tissues and to hyperhydrate and fill your blood vessels with a thinner blood that is able to be pumped much more effectively and much more easily. Now, I realize you drink 24 ounces of water first thing in the morning and you go straight out the door for a run, you're going to be sloshing around like crazy. That's why I don't necessarily recommend doing that in that particular way. The way that I always recommend is that I do 20 to 24 ounces of water first thing in the morning, literally the first thing when I get out of bed. And then after that, I'm still kind of getting ready for my run. I'm getting my shoes on, I'm getting my running clothes on, I'm getting everything prepared and ready for my run. I'm even starting to do a few little stretches or a little dynamic warm-up or things like that. That's not going to get the water sloshing around in my stomach. So I've been calling it for a long time my 20-20 method, and that is 20 ounces of water 20 minutes before your run. That allows for that water to get out of the stomach and into the bloodstream so that you are well hydrated, hyperhydrated, before you actually step outside onto your run. Now, method number two is actually what do you do when you're running? Okay, because we know that if you're going for 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 miles, something like that, you're not going to be able to stay completely hydrated for the entire duration of that run. You're going to need to make a stop at some point in order to refill. So for me, what I always end up doing is if my run is 6 miles or less, I'm probably not going to refill. I'm just going to kind of deal with what the cardiac drift does to my heart rate, and I'll be okay with that. But if I'm going beyond 6 miles, if I hit 7, 8, 9, 10 miles, I'm going to make a stop at some point in order to top off that hydration level and kind of re-thin out my blood a little bit so that it doesn't get too far out of control towards the end of a run. Now the way that I do this, if I'm running 7 or 8 miles, I'm not going to stop at 6 to rehydrate in order to finish out the 7 or 8. I'm probably going to stop about halfway, somewhere around the 4-mile mark. Go ahead and top things off so that the heart rate doesn't get out of control early, and I can get it back under control early in the run so that later on I'm not worried about it. I'm not having to recover if my heart rate's getting too high. And then for longer runs, say up to 10 miles, I'll probably still top it off somewhere around the 4-mile mark just because I don't like to have the back end of my run interrupted a whole lot. So I want to make sure that I'm well topped off early on in the run so that I can finish out strong, and then I just kind of accept what cardiac drift happens at the end of that run. But during these hot summer months, it is going to be inevitable that it's going to be very, very difficult in order to maintain a heart rate at a certain level because our body's natural response is to sweat. It is to push water out of our body because that is our natural cooling mechanism. And when it is extra hot and humid outside, our body is going to push out more of that water. So we want to make sure that we are recovering and refilling that water supply inside of our body at the beginning of our run. And for longer runs, definitely in the middle of a run. Now, if you guys want to see the list of all the things that I am kind of being aware of while I am trying to maintain my heart rate at a certain level, I'm going to go ahead and leave this video right up here so that you guys can check that out and see kind of some of the things that I always have going through my head in order to maintain my heart rate at a good level. So that's all I've got for you guys today. Let me know if this video was helpful. Head on out there, seek your elite. God bless, and I'll see you next time.